is the love map. The love map is getting to know your partner on a genuine level. So this is including their beliefs, interests, thoughts, everything that has to do with them making them up. So if we have a love map, it reduces our conflict in a marriage and with your partner. And if you understand their needs and wants and understand what they truly believe in, it can reduce conflict by plenty. This is letting your partner express themselves and genuinely be themselves for who they are. And some tips that we can use to increase our love maps and work on our love maps are to ask closed-ended questions, open-ended questions, and really get to know your partner more. And we can do this by looking at old triumphs that they have done in their lives and also looking at old injuries that have made them who they are today. But a technique for closed-ended questions can be like true or false questions, asking your partner if they know what time you go into work, what days you don't like working, if they can identify your best friend. And then some open-ended questions can be, hey, do you know my best friend's names? Do you know what our interests are together? And if we create these questionnaires and we answer all these questions, most of them are about 20 questions long. If we are receiving 10 or above, that means that your love map is getting strong, that you are working on it. And if our love map is below 10 questions, if you didn't get those right, then we need to work on truly getting to know our partner, regardless of the triumphs and injuries that have happened in the past. And it's going to be fondness and admiration. These two qualities are crucial for a marriage. If we don't have these, then there is no chance in reviving a marriage that is in trouble. So the first thing that we are looking at in fondness and admiration is recounting positive memories with our partner. And this is going back and looking at good times that you've had with your partner and really cherishing those moments. Another thing that we can do is to make sure that our marriage has a good core foundation by having a friendship. A friendship leads to love, laughter, and a good time with your partner. We also see that fondness and admiration are the antidote for contempt. And this is with respecting your partner and appreciating them at another level by really going out of your way to get to know them more, love their interests the way that they love their interests, and really unite with your partner. Another thing that we can do is scan for qualities in our partner and really look at your partner in a day and be like, hey partner, I really appreciate what you did for me today and I really like your outfit. You know, you just really have to express to your partner your interests and your fondness for them. So some techniques that we can do is have a questionnaire. These questionnaires can be true or false questions like the first one, like in the last principle, and it could be if you're having a hard time, are you thinking about your partner because you know that they'll be able to help you? And this is with the admiration portion about always thinking about your partner. The third principle is turning towards each other and not away from one another. This principle is expressing the core belief of truly talking to your partner, communicating, and letting them know how you feel. Every time that we turn towards our partner, we are communicating and funding our emotional piggy bank, which allows us to express how we feel properly and create more love and care in our relationship. If we are turning away from each other, we are creating more conflict by essentially giving the silent treatment and not wanting to discuss what is going on in the relationship. And in order to turn towards each other, we need to focus on the mini moments in life with your partner and notice that, hey, my partner just did this for me. That's awesome. I'm going to appreciate them and tell them that how much it meant to me. And this is going to create a stronger bond with one another. Another thing that we can do is look at two main obstacles in what chooses partners to turn away from each other, and this is by missing bids. A bid is essentially the main component in an expressed verbal communication with your partner. So let's say, oh my gosh, our room is such a mess. Your partner can focus on, all right, they think the room is a mess. Let me not focus on the delivery rather than the real meaning, which is the bid. And the bid is, hey, my partner is frustrated that I haven't helped clean up the room. Let me go ahead and do that. Another obstacle that we can focus on is the distractingness of the World Wide Web. And this is basically what the internet does. It takes away our distraction from our phones and our laptops, and it really focuses us on what's online and not being present. And in order to turn towards one another, we need to be present, minimize stressors, let's not miss the bit anymore and discuss what we are truly working on. And our fourth principle is letting our partner influence us. Allowing your partner to have a slight opinion or decision in your final decision allows a greater understanding for what their needs and wants are, but also what your needs and wants are, and how you both can compromise for one another. Allowing influence in a relationship does not mean that you will never have negative emotions towards one another, but compromising allows your partner to have more insight on what you both are interested in and what you both are not interested in. And letting your partner influence you, you need to yield. The male in the relationship needs to yield. And this does not mean letting your female partner, as in your wife, walk all over you, but it is allowing your partner to express how they feel while you take a step back and realize, hey, you know what? That is right. Let's work on this together. A huge vital component in this principle is compromise. Without compromise, there is no letting your partner influence you at all. Some techniques in this principle is having some true or false questions, just like another questionnaire, asking, hey, if my partner were to have implemented this in my routine, how would that make me feel? What are my opinions on it? And vice versa with your partner. Another technique that you can work on is Gottman's stranded island technique. This is a technique saying that, let's imagine that you're on a stranded island with your partner and you find a boat full of goodies that can allow you to survive. You both will make a list on what is most important to you and compromise on what your needs are, because you can only have 10 items off of this list. In order to do this, you need to compromise, talk, discuss, yield especially, and let both of your sides influence what you may need and want in order to survive. These two techniques and this principle guide the partners into really letting one another influence each other and express how they feel without having a huge fight. A snippet or tip in the principle of letting your partner influence you is that if your male partner is unwilling to yield for you, then there is a deep-rooted issue that must be addressed prior to compromising in other situations. To solve our solvable problems. And Dr. Gottman has 5 rules in this principle that help us do this. The first is going to be to soften our startup. So when we are going to interact with our partner and we're going to address a problem, we're not going to yell at them and make it very active. We are going to softly and kindly be, hey, this hurt my feelings. Can we approach this in a way that we won't get angry? So very soft and easygoing. Our second is going to learn and make repair attempts. So this is going to just listen, we'll receive the information and try and repair what happened. This is going to be on both ends, and it's going to be an easy compromise to help solve the issue. Our third is going to be to soothe each other. So if I have a problem and my partner understands that this problem is affecting me, he'll come in and, ask me if I need anything, ask if I need a glass of water, and just talk me through whatever I needed, and vice versa. The fourth is to compromise, and this is to solve a problem and, hey, this is what works for me, this is what works for me, let's just meet in the middle and say that this is going to work for the both of us. Our fifth principle is going to process any grievances so that they don't linger anymore. So this is going to be solving a problem regardless if you've already talked about it, and make sure that what you've said stands and we can apply this to solve our solvable problems. This principle is based off of simply having manners and addressing someone with a kind-hearted and a communicative voice. So an example of this can be that we're going to treat our partner like a guest in our home, and we would never yell at our guests. We would never say, hey, you left your cup on the counter without a coaster. We would approach the guest saying, hey, in my home, this is how we put coasters underneath. If this is a problem, please let me know. But this is how we're going to approach our partners. So the fifth principle in solving your solvable problems is going to try and de-escalate any communicative patterns and truly talk to your partner with a kind, respectful manner. In addition to this principle, we are going to make I statements rather than blame everything on our partner. Our sixth principle in the book is going to be overcoming gridlock. Overcoming gridlock are the basic differences in a couple's lives, like their personality, preference, and beliefs, etc. Some ways you can identify that you have gridlock is coming back to an argument over and over again with no result, finding that compromises seem impossible whenever you're talking to your partner, or you and your partner are not able to communicate properly about the gridlock without using empathy or humor, and that the issue just continues to keep going on and increase over time. Our goal to overcome gridlock is to acknowledge and discuss different goals without hurting one another. And this can be very difficult because gridlock is two fists just bumping heads and not knowing how to communicate properly. But these basic differences, is like in your personality and preference, are dreams that need to be uncovered to work on gridlock. And dreams may be different for everybody, but at the end of the day, if you can discover that your dreams are different, but you can compromise at things, you will be able to overcome gridlock. But you do need to look at the small moments in life and communicate with one another to avoid those big conflicts. One technique that we can use is the dream catcher technique. So we have the dreamer who has their opinion on something, so we will let them be the speaker, and then the other partner will be the listener, and they will negotiate back and forth with each other when getting down to a point together. Our last principle is Principle 7. This is creating a shared meaning. In the book, it is defined as developing a culture that is finding a way of honoring one another. In this chapter, there are 4 main ideas that we will talk about. And the first is creating a ritual of connections. So this can be compromising and finding a time on a day that works for both of you to set aside time, like having a meal together, playing games, watching a movie, and simply sticking to that ritual. The second is supporting one another's roles. So let's say that there is a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad and one that goes out and works. There are 2 ways that we can support each other by simply asking what their wants and needs are and helping each other from their day-to-day activities. The third is to share each other's goals. If you have a goal of running a marathon and you tell your significant other that and they fully support you, this is creating an intimacy on a higher level for you to bond over and truly communicate with. And our last one is to create values, to share values and your symbols. So this can be regarding religion or things that you are truly interested in. And all of these things incorporate changes into your path, but they create and encourage an atmosphere of love and devoteness. And another important thing that we will talk about is being honest and talking about convictions in the past. I'll tell you how. When looking at a couple, he examines their emotional intelligence to see if there is any good communication style. And predicting divorce, he knows that there is going to be a negative communication style. And he looks at this by looking at the 4 horsemen: contempt, criticism, defense, and stonewalling. This is easy to look at in under 15 minutes because he knows that if a couple has negative communication styles, then they will not last in the future. In the what now section of the book, it is the ending, typically talking about what couples have done to maintain their marriage. And a couple things I'm going to tell you are: the first being the magic 6 hours. The magic 6 hours are couples that have prevailed with their marriage, meaning that they have added only 6 extra hours to their communication style and life with one another to simply increase their marriage happiness. This means simply dedicating time to one another for an extra time. And within these days, they have created a more meaningful love with one another by saying goodbye and giving one another a hug when they're leaving, sharing their small things about their day, and simply expressing communication as a top priority in their marriage.